Welcome to lesson 8.4. Today we're going to be learning about frequency tables and histograms. So what is a frequency table? Well, that's just a table where we group data into ranges. So in this case, we have a cross-country team, and they're running the 2-mile race, and we have some times of different runners on the left there. And we're going to organize that data. So we have our running times broken into 2-minute intervals, 14 minutes to 15:59, and so on and so forth. And we're just going to make tally marks when one of the runner's times fit into that category. So 16:45 is the first one, and so that's going to go right here. So I'll put a little mark, right? And there's 14:25. Well, that belongs here. And I could keep going. 18:40 goes here. 16:03, that's going to go here, and I'm going to keep going. That's all of them. And I just count them up. There's 4 in this range, there's 6 in this range, and there's 2 in this range. So I've got the frequency of each category. Well, now I can make a histogram. And a histogram kind of looks like a bar graph, but it's not. It's continuous data. So in the range of 14 minutes to 15:59, I have 4 values. So that's going to be right here, right? Like that. And as soon as I go to 16 minutes, I'm in the next bar, and there's 6 of those. So those bars are going to be touching. And then my last category, I have 2. So there we go. And so there is my histogram. Notice it's continuous. There's no space between the 3 bars because there's nothing in between. I go right from 15:59 to 16. A couple things to notice about this histogram. First of all, my intervals are all equal. Okay, things are equally spaced apart. Also, another thing is I don't see individual data points, right? I just know there are 6 values in this range. I don't know the exact times, all right? Same thing in this range and in this range. I don't know the exact data points, just I know that there are so many values within that range. Mr. Maxwell timed the cross-country team in a 2-mile run and recorded the time below. So there we go. We have some more times for people running that race. If you notice carefully, they're the same times. We're going to represent things a little differently this time. Okay, this time we have more intervals that are shorter, so they're only 1-minute intervals. So filling in the table and then doing my tallying with the data. And I've checked them off as I've gone along. And then adding them up, I have 2 and 2 and 3 and 3 and 1 and 1. And then we can graph this. And if we have this histogram we do, it's set up here. Notice that I don't have ranges written in the middle here, right? This is 14 to 15. The 15 starts the next interval, all right? So if it's 15 even, it's going to go in this bar. If it's 16 even, it's going to go in this bar. 17 even goes in this bar, 18 goes here, and 19 goes here. So the number on the x-axis actually tells you the start of the next interval. So let's look at the first couple here. We have 2 in the 14 to 14:59 range. So I'm going to draw a bar that goes up to 2, just like that. Just like that. And then I have 2 that are in the 15 to 15:59 range. There's that. Okay. And then I have 3 that's in the 16 to 16:59. So that's that, just like that. And you could keep on going. I'll let you finish the table, and we'll check you in class. All right, for part 2, we're going to look at some frequency tables and use it to answer some questions. So Zach surveyed a group of middle school kids, asked them how many texts they sent yesterday, and we have this table here, right? So the number of texts is in the left column, and then the tally of how many students is in the middle, and we just gave a frequency for the tally marks on the right. And the first question is the greatest number of texts sent between 60 and 79? And you might look at this and go, oh, look at this, there it is. And it has the most check marks in it. So yes, but Let's look at that question a little closer. It says, is the greatest number of texts sent? Okay, well, no, actually. The greatest number of students, that's what they texted, but the greatest number of texts was this, right? Isn't 80 more than 79? So even though only 8 kids texted that frequently, it was the largest range that there was. So no. Okay, it should be 80 to 99 is greatest. Is the lowest number of text between 20 and 39. There we go again. That is the smallest frequency. The least number of students texted that much, but that wasn't the least number of texts per student. That would be a no again. 0 to 19 is lowest. Okay, so we got to be careful in our interpretation of what those numbers mean. For this next part, it says from the table above, how many students sent between 20 and 59 texts? Let me underline that, between 20 and 59. See if you can figure that out from the table. Now we're going to use histograms to solve problems. And so we have this histogram showing the number of points Kendra scored during each basketball game she played last season. So we had here, she scored between 0 and 4 points, in 3 different games. We don't know whether they were 4, she scored 4 in each game, whether she scored nothing in each game. We don't know, but we do know that there were 3 values within that range. Never did she score between 5 and 9 points, right? She scored between 10 and 14 points 6 times. 6 different games she had between 10 and 14 points. She scored in 2 different games, she scored between 15 and 19. She could have been 15, could have been 16, could have been 17, could have been 18, could have been 19 points. We don't know, but we know there were 2 games in which she was within that range. And then there was 1 game where she got between 20 and 24 points. So the question says, how many games did she play last season? Well, it looks like there were 3 games in this range, 6 games in this range, 2 games in this range, and 1 game in this range. So that's the total number of games. So it was 3 plus 6 plus 2 plus 1, which when I add them all up, 12 games. And how many games did she score from 5 to 9 points? 0 games. She never did that. And I can tell because here's the 5 to 9, and there's no bar there. So here's the histogram again. It says, does the histogram show the mode of the number of points she scored in each of the games? So remember, the mode would be the score that she got most often. So you would need to know all 12 points. Like you'd have to know in game 1, game 2, all the way to game 12. You'd have to know how many points she scored in each game, right? To know which score occurred most often. And we don't have individual values here to go on. We can't tell the actual score that was the mode. And here's some straight up practice. We have this data set. Ages between 6 and 27. We have a table set up for you with ranges of, it looks like 5. And you need to tally all the ages to put them in their categories and come up with a frequency. They gave you the age ranges here so that you can set up the ages here based on that. And then you could look at your frequency to determine what would be an appropriate scale here. Just make sure your increments are equal. Right? We don't want to go up by 2 and then go up by 10 and then go up by 7, right? It has to go up by equal increments. Give that a whirl and we'll talk about it in class. Take care.